This is my commentary on pixelization, pointelism, zipatone, and comic book coloring. It is an idle commentary on, again, pixelization, pointillism, zipatone, and comic book coloring done by me, Mike Fuller. So let's begin with pixels. And this is the pixel breakdown. It's an explanation. A pixel is an element of color. And there's a long dictionary here. I'm not going to read all of it, but it's gives you all the numbers for it, and you can read this yourself. But a pixel is basically one square block of color in a graphic image. I've zoomed into this outline of the state of Mississippi, and the little red blocks represent one pixel of color. And I did it again with this image of a bird where I've zoomed in and crossed the lines to show where each individual pixel exists. And now about pointillism. Pointillism is a technique of painting in which small distinct dots of color were applied to form an image. George Seurat and Paul Sengak developed this technique in 1886, branching off from Impressionism. And this is a background image of George Seurat lighthouse at Honfleur. George Seurat began the movement, and it branched off from Impressionism. It's called pointillism. This is another example. Sunday afternoon on the L de la Grande Jet. This is painted with small dots of color, which is hard to render in this image. This is George Seurat, Seascape at Point in Elbizon, Normandy. His theory was that small dots painted on canvas would blend at a distance to appear like the intended color. And many of these images there that I just explained, the digital scanning has blended the original dots into the image you are seeing. Conversion into this presentation also caused more blending. And a good 100 years later, the idea of dots creating a tone was standard, and this is a good example of it, of zipatone, especially with the gradient tone of the white dots expanding to eventually become black dots after the background tone, to alter the background tone, as you can see in this image here. This is a very old comic showing some of the dots and this light blue background and the gray face of this character, and also on the left side in the green leaves and other colors on this page. If you notice, the red has a solid color, but the other colors are done with the dot. This is a good example from a popular Archie comic strip. You can see the red dots used to make a standard Caucasian color on their face. There were pink dots in the background that made this background, but they're hard to see on this image. This is from a Captain America book. The brown dots used to create this African American skin color are visible, and you can also see the dots on the Caucasian tone on the lady, and also the green dots for her outfit and the purple dots for his outfit to make it a more light mauve. This is a quick example of shade representation of difference between Caucasian and Native American skin. On the left is the Caucasian skin of the small dots, and on the right is the dots get bigger to indicate a Native American skin. This is from 1988, so they were still working with how to do it really well. At the bottom, you can see the blue dots in that background, making it a light blue. This is Jungle Action Feature Black Panther. This is one of the highlight commentary marvels of Black Panther. When this was printed, he was presented with shades of blue to represent the black because they could not imitate a lightning black color without him looking, it wouldn't work. He would have looked more silhouette. So they used the blue with the dots in it that you can see on this image. You can see the gray on the villain, which is done with black dots, but that was a harder process to do. And on the right, you can see some purple spacing done for that mauve, light purple color. This is another popular Marvel character who is the Beast, who is represented here in a grayish mauve color, which would mean he was more dark colored than he would later become. And this is a good example. You can see the purple or violet dots here spread apart for his color. This is additional images showing on the left the mauve or light purple coloring of his hand done with the dots. On the right, you see the flesh tone done with the red dots, and also that pink background is done with light pink dots that are spread to establish the lighter color. This is another example of highlighting blue used on Black Panther. You can't really see the dots in here because of the way the image was rendered on him. You can see those light grayish dots in the background, which is just what was the standard at that time. This is when the beast came more common to what we know him as, when a writer dubbed him the blue furry beast, and he remained blue. You can still see the dot coloring in the orange of the background and in the blue of the windows. This is from the jungle action of Black Panther. It's a really good image showing the various shades. You can see the solid black colors with the lines through it. Then you can see the mid-tone, which is actually a blue dot with a blue background. And then you can see that highlight, which is that light blue color, which is the only way they had to highlight his Black comics. This is another good cover. The beast has the dots on him. He's the blue furry beast at this time. And you can see the highlighting light hitting him on there. And the Black Panther is done with blue for his highlights. And this is where I joked and said harmony attained. On this color, you see the Black Panther actually rendered in shades of black with the dot coloring to indicate the highlights. And also the figure of Yellow Jacket in the background actually has black highlighting on him. The beast at this time has been rendered as the blue furry beast, and he stayed like that. But within this same comic book, Black Panther did go back to blue highlights for his costume. For his black costume, Yellow Jacket actually has the light purplish colors for his black highlights, but the beast is just a straight blue furry beast. This is another really good example of the use of toning by an artist. The rendering of them in the foreground with the blue being in a theater, the blue dots on the Beast and Wonder Man, and then up on the screen you see the screen image with the black dots, which were really done well to indicate the age of the. Thank you for your time. This concludes my short video. This is my promotional stuff. The graphic novels are available on Webtoons and Global Comics.